Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about logical reasoning. It's another class of logical reasoning and we are going to discuss two small subtopics, distribution of terms and figures of sentences. So without wasting time, I think it's better we can start on with the classes. Okay, be attentive to the class. Distribution of terms in categorical propositions. So today we will discuss in a detailed way how we can find whether the distributions in a sentences. In the previous class, we have already discussed about the moods of a sentences. Before that, I have told you about the valid as well as invalid sentences. When you get a sentence or an argument, you want to find whether it is valid or invalid. Then only you can find the mood of the sentence. Then only you can find the figure of the sentences. And you must also know the distribution in a sentence. So how we can find the distribution of a sentence? That is what we are discussing in the today's class. So be attentive to the class. Okay, be very attentive and keen here. Your attendance to here. Then you can see the differences we can see in each of the sentences. Okay. So listen here, all of you. I have given an easy table here, which you have to study by heart. Then only you are able to do the questions very properly in the exam. So first you find that a sentence that start with all. Okay, a sentence that start with all, then its subject as well as predicate, how it will come. The subject is distributed. Okay, you have to study as such. Okay, if a sentence that start with all, then its subject is distributed and its predicate is undistributed. Okay, clear now? And the second one, a sentence that start with no. Okay, sentence that start with no. For example, no birds are animals. Like that, if a sentence is in that the subject as well as predicate both are distributed. Understood? And if a sentence that start with some, then there is no distribution in the subject as well as in the predicate. Both are undistributed. Clear? And in the sentence that start with some not, in that the subject is undistributed but predicate is distributed. So you have to study this table very clearly. It is easy. You study either the distributed words. For example, you study the distributed only. So all the subject is distributed. No subject as well as predicate is distributed, and some no distribution, and some not only predicate is distributed. If you study like this, then it's easy for you. If you study both together, it is difficult for you. So you do one thing, make an easy trick to keep this table in your mind. Understood? So all subject distributed, no. Subject as well as predicate is distributed. Some, there is no distribution, and some not, predicate is distributed. That you have studied well. This is the law you have to know about the distribution of a term in a sentence. Okay. So in the arguments, you have to find all these things. So distribution is that this is a table which shows that the square of opposition. You know that a sentence that start with all, we use there A. A sentence that start with no, we use here E. And here some, we use here I. And some not, we use here O. Understood? So in this, the first one, okay, here only subject is distributed. So I have written here S. Understood? That is, here subject only is distributed. And here subject and predicate is distributed. So we have written here SP. Okay. And in some, there is no distribution. So a negative mark is given here. There is no distribution. And in the case of some not, P is distributed. So if you study this table, that is also enough. S, SP, no, and only P is here. To study this one, it's easy for you. This is an easy method to keep this in mind. As, ESP, I, no, nothing is the OP. This is a trick to study the distribution. Some students is easy for them to study this. Otherwise, you study it as such. That is by keeping this table S, SP, nothing, and P. So you will get an idea how the distributions will come. If you study this, it's easy for you in the net exam, because a lot of time distributions are asked in the different exams. So you must know that most of the students don't have an idea what is the distribution. So first they have to study the law in it. Then only you are able to do the sentences they have given for your exam. Then next we are studying the figure. Okay, you know figure of a sentence. That is what we have to study. So we have already studied the mood of a sentence. A, E, I, O, U, how it is coming in the sentences. That is in the both premises as well as in the conclusion. So figure one, you have to study this one. Figure one, it is always moving to the right side. In a right side movement means here you know that is the middle term. Middle term move from how it is changing, that we have to find. All men are mortal. In this distribution, in which one is distributed? It is distributed. All men. Men is the subject. Subject is distributed here. Understood? Some animals are men. In this, the predicate is undistributed. Okay. Some animals are men. In this, it is undistributed. And you have to find that it is in these smooth sentences. Okay. All men are mortal. Some animals are men. In this, the middle term is men are men. This is the middle term. Middle term means a word that come in both sentences. Okay, in both sentences, a word will come. Then we can take it as a middle term. Okay, so you have seen that it moved from right, moving towards the right. Here we see men are to here. This is right side movement we can see. So if it is right side movement, then we have to consider as a figure 1. Understood? So we can study in this way also distributed, undistributed. Okay, then it is very clear. It moved from right side. Move towards, not from, move towards right side. Figure 1. The next is figure 2. Okay, in figure 2, both are getting undistributed. So here, if the end of it, the middle term will come at the end of it. Some animals are men. Okay, all animals are men. Here both these are coming at the end of it. This is the middle term, means a common word, a common word in both of the sentences. That is what we call as middle term. Are men is at the end, here also at the end. So in the figure 2, both is at the end of the sentence and both are undistributed. Then it is easy to reach like this a sentence. Okay, so figure 2 is moving towards the end. And in the case of the figure 1, right side, figure 2, end. And what is the case of figure 3 at front? It is moving towards the front side. Okay. All men are mortal. Here it is distributed and again distributed, distributed, distributed. Okay. No men are mortal. In this both cases, we can see that it is at the front of it. Okay, not at the back or not from the, towards the right. It is at the front of it. The front of it, then is the figure 3. That is what you have to know. Next is figure 4. Okay, in the case of the figure 4, you must know that it is moving towards the left side. See, to the left side. This is the right side and this is the left side. Some mortals are men. It is undistributed and no men are animals. It is distributed. In this, you can see that the common words, that is the middle term, is moving towards the left side. Okay. So I think you are now clear about it. Figure 1, right side. Figure 2, end. And figure 3, it is at the front side. And the figure 4, it is towards the left side. And we can see the distributions also here. Undistributed and distributed can be seen here. So the 4 figures is over here. Okay, it is easy to keep in mind which is which come right, which come end, which come at the middle, like that we can see. So it's a very small class because I told you earlier itself, logical it is, we need a lot of attention is needed. So I think to make you very easy to understand, I am making a small classes. Okay, so you can at a stretch you are able to understand. So you must study the distribution table very well. Then only you are able to understand the distribution in a sentence. So first you want to know a subject and predicate of a sentence. Then you must know in all sentences what is the distribution. And in the case of the sentence that start with no, what is the distribution? And in the sentence that start with the some, then what is the distribution? And some not, what is the distribution? You must know that. Okay. After that, you know the figure of figure in a argument. We want to find in the sentence how we can find it. Okay. So you want to find the common words, that is the middle term you want to find. If it is moving towards the right, that is a figure 1. If it is moving towards the end, it is figure 2. If it is moving towards the front, then it is figure 3, and if it is more towards the left side, then it is figure 4. So I think it's very clear about it. You must study the table and all, and you must keep on touching with me and subscribe this channel. Okay, we can meet in the next class. Till then, goodbye.